Hello, Scorpio. I want to begin by telling you something that is not easy to hear, but you deserve to know it. You carry within you a force that is both magnetic and unsettling, a light that reveals truths others prefer to keep hidden. People admire you for your strength, yet they rarely acknowledge the price you pay for carrying such intensity in your heart. While others move through life seeking comfort, you are asked to walk through fire. Not once, but many times. This isn't punishment. It's initiation. The universe has chosen you to be reborn again and again, through trials that would break most souls. But for you, they are the necessary storms that shape the leader, the healer, the survivor you are destined to become. Before you step into the fullness of your power, Scorpio, you will face a series of inner earthquakes that will shake the foundation of who you believe yourself to be. These are not the ordinary difficulties of life. They are experiences designed to strip away illusions, to force you to look directly into the mirror of your own depth, and to separate what is true in you from what has merely been borrowed from the world around you. Every dream you hold, every ambition you protect, every piece of your heart you have guarded will be tested. And as you face these trials, you will not always recognize them as opportunities. At first, they will feel like losses, like betrayals, like the slow unraveling of what you thought was certain. Perhaps you are already in the beginning stages of this path. Maybe you have noticed the silence that surrounds your efforts, the strange absence of recognition. Despite all that you give, you put your passion into your work, into your relationships, into the visions you want to build, and still the world turns its face away. It feels unfair. It feels like rejection. And it whispers to you the dangerous question, what if I am not as powerful as I thought? What if I am not meant to be seen? This is the first shadow you must confront. The crisis of being unseen, of having your worth questioned not only by others but by yourself. Do not mistake this silence for a verdict on your value. This experience exists to burn away every fragile piece of ego that is still tied to outside validation. You are being asked to discover a strength that does not depend on applause, a confidence that does not crumble when others fail to acknowledge you. The recognition you seek will come, but only after you no longer need it to define you. That is how the universe tests you. Scorpio, it withholds the external echo until you learn to hear your own voice more clearly than the noise of the crowd. And this is only the beginning. What lies ahead will push you deeper, but each step will bring you closer to a self that cannot be shaken. You are not being diminished, you are being carved into something unbreakable. Scorpio, the second trial that rises on your path is more painful because it strikes at the very foundation of what you hold most sacred: trust. For all your caution and your ability to read between the lines of people's words and actions, there is still a part of you that longs to believe in loyalty, in shared strength, in bonds that cannot be broken. You want to know that when you give your heart, your energy, your vision, someone will stand with you in truth. Yet life will test you through betrayal, and it will come not from a distant stranger, but from someone you once let inside your circle. It might be a friend who suddenly shows their envy, a partner who chooses their own desires over the connection you built, or an ally who abandons you at the exact moment you needed their support. The sting of this betrayal will not just bruise your feelings, it will cut into your instinctive faith in the loyalty of others, leaving you wondering if opening yourself was ever worth it. This crisis is devastating because it threatens to harden you, to convince you that trust is a weakness, that opening your heart is an invitation for pain. You may be tempted to close yourself off, to build a fortress so strong that no one can enter again. And yet, if you allow that wall to rise too high, you will cut yourself off not only from the pain, but also from the profound love and true alliances your soul longs for. What you must understand Scorpio, is that betrayal is not meant to teach you that people cannot be trusted. It is meant to sharpen your discernment. It teaches you to see past the flattering words, the false promises, the convenient closeness that vanishes under pressure. It forces you to recognize who is drawn to your light only for their own gain, and who is willing to stand in the shadow with you when times turn dark. As you move through this storm, you will begin to see patterns you missed before. You will notice the small signs that reveal hidden intentions, the subtle shifts in energy that tell you when someone is wearing a mask. At first, this awareness may make you more suspicious, but eventually it will become wisdom. You will no longer give your loyalty blindly, nor will you waste your intensity on those who cannot carry it. Instead, you will choose carefully, and in doing so, you will discover the rare souls who are worthy of your devotion. When you meet those people, the bond will be unshakable, because it will have been tested in the fire of disillusionment. Scorpio, betrayal hurts because you give with depth, and losing what you've invested feels like a piece of yourself has been stolen. But nothing essential can ever be taken from you. What leaves you during this crisis are the illusions, the false loyalty, the conditional love, the shallow alliances. What remains is your strength, your insight, and your capacity to form connections that are rooted in truth rather than appearances. This second crisis, as cruel as it feels, will make you more powerful in relationships than you have ever been. It will not break your ability to love. It will refine it until your love becomes something almost indestructible. And once you emerge from this test, you will not only know who deserves your trust, you will also know how to trust yourself more deeply than ever before. That is the true gift. Hidden in betrayal, it returns you to your own center, reminding you that the one loyalty you can never lose is the loyalty you owe to yourself. After betrayal has reshaped your understanding of loyalty, Scorpio, a more subtle trial will appear, one that does not come dressed as conflict, but disguised as comfort. This is the crisis of quiet mediocrity, the temptation to settle for less than the life you were born to live. Unlike the sharp sting of betrayal, this challenge creeps in silently. It whispers in your ear with rational arguments, convincing you that you have fought enough, suffered enough, endured enough storms. It tells you that maybe it is time to stop reaching, to stop risking, to accept a smaller life, where nothing hurts but nothing truly excites you either. At first, this voice may feel soothing, even protective, as if it is saving you from more disappointment. But in truth, it is a dangerous invitation to step away from your destiny. You, Scorpio, are not designed for half measures. Your soul thrives on intensity, on transformation, on experiences that pierce the surface and reach the core of things. Yet, after being denied recognition and betrayed by someone you trusted, there will be a part of you that grows weary, that wants to choose stability over greatness, familiarity over possibility. You may consider a career that feels safe but uninspiring, or relationships that are comfortable but not deeply alive. You may find yourself repeating phrases like, "This is enough for me," even as something in your chest aches with the knowledge that it isn't the common. This is the cage of mediocrity, and it is far more dangerous than outright failure, because it convinces you to stop before you've even reached your true horizon. The universe uses this third crisis to test your memory of who you really are. Do you remember the times you burned with vision? When you knew you were meant for more than what was handed to you? Do you remember the fire that rises in you when you are aligned with purpose? When you are not just surviving, but living as if your soul is fully awake? That memory is your key. If you forget it, you risk slipping into a life that looks fine from the outside, but feels hollow from within. And no matter how stable or convenient it may seem, That kind of life will slowly drain you because Scorpio cannot thrive on just enough. To overcome this crisis, you must be willing to reject the comforts that numb you and return to the uncertainty that stretches you. You must dare to dream again. Even if those dreams make you vulnerable to more disappointment, you must choose risk, not recklessness, but the kind of risk that comes with pursuing the things that truly matter to your heart. The lesson here is that peace without purpose is not peace at all. It is quiet despair. True peace for you, Scorpio, is found in the alignment of your soul's calling. Even if that path is steep and lonely at times, if you resist this temptation and refuse to settle, you will discover a courage that goes deeper than the strength you needed to survive betrayal. You will prove to yourself that you can endure the silence of recognition, the pain of loss, and still rise each morning committed to something greater. This is how you step beyond mediocrity, not by avoiding it, but by recognizing it for what it is, a gilded prison, and choosing freedom, no matter how uncertain that freedom feels at first. Scorpio, if you resist the temptation of mediocrity, the universe will challenge you in a different way by striking at the very heart of your creative essence. This fourth crisis is about rejection, not of you as a person, but of something born directly from your soul. It may be a vision, an idea, or a work you poured yourself into with honesty and devotion. Something that carried your signature energy and revealed a truth only you could express. Instead of being celebrated, it may be criticized, dismissed, or simply ignored. The sting here is not just in the judgment, but in the vulnerability of knowing you gave something authentic and it was met with coldness or ridicule. For a Scorpio, whose creations often carry deep emotion and unfiltered truth, this rejection feels like an attack, not just on what you made, but on who you are. You may begin to wonder whether it is safer to hold back, to create things that are easier for others to digest, to bury the raw honesty that makes your voice unique. There will be days when you think, why expose myself if people cannot understand me? Why risk giving my essence to those who only want surface-level comforts? This is the shadow of the fourth crisis, the temptation to silence yourself in order to avoid being wounded again. But here is the truth. Scorpio, what comes from your depths will not always be understood immediately. Every transformative voice in history has endured rejection before being seen clearly. What is radical? What is authentic? Often meets resistance because it unsettles the world that prefers illusions. When people cannot grasp the truth you express, it does not mean that truth is wrong, it means it is ahead of its time. And not all are ready for it. The danger is not in being misunderstood, but in letting misunderstanding suffocate your expression. You are not here to create for applause. You are here to channel the intensity of your inner world into something that stirs, that awakens, that breaks the silence others are too afraid to touch. If you allow rejection to silence you, the world will lose something only you could have given. And though the world may never realize it, you will feel the ache of having buried your voice. Yet, if you stand firm, if you keep expressing your truth even in the face of judgment, your resilience will become unshakable. And your creativity will no longer depend on approval. It will be a gift you give because it must be given. This crisis, though painful, will purify your purpose. It will strip away the desire to please, the fear of being misunderstood, and replace it with clarity. You will know that the value of your expression lies not in its reception, but in its authenticity. When you reach that understanding, every rejection becomes less of a wound and more of a signpost, reminding you that your voice was never meant to blend in. It was meant to stand apart, to disrupt, to reveal. And that is what makes it priceless. Scorpio, after you have endured the silence of being unseen, the wound of betrayal, the temptation of mediocrity, and the rejection of your most authentic creations, the universe will place you in front of a trial that touches one of the most sensitive areas of human life, money. But this crisis will not simply be about losing or gaining wealth. It will be about unmasking your relationship to prosperity itself. For someone like you, who values intensity, transformation, and control, money can easily become a mirror of power. It can feel like proof that your efforts have meaning, that you have secured stability, that you have control over the material world. And yet, this fifth crisis will show you that financial gain without soul alignment can feel just as empty as loss. At one point, you may find yourself with material abundance, and to your surprise, it may not bring the satisfaction you imagined. The bank account may be full, but the spirit feels starved. And you notice that comfort does not necessarily equal fulfillment. At another point, you may experience financial struggle, moments where resources feel scarce, and you are forced to confront fears of instability and lack, both extremes. Abundance without meaning and scarcity without safety are designed to reveal something vital. Money alone is not the true measure of your prosperity. The deeper lesson of this crisis is that prosperity must begin from within you. It is about discovering whether your drive for financial success has been rooted in the desire to impress, to prove your worth, or to silence your insecurities. The universe will not let you hide behind wealth as a mask. It will demand that you separate what is real in your ambition from what is simply a performance for others. And when you do, you will see that true abundance for a Scorpio has little to do with numbers or possessions and everything to do with the value you create, the transformation you inspire, and the depth you bring to whatever you touch. This financial crisis, though unsettling, is actually liberating. It forces you to redefine prosperity in a way that cannot be taken from you. It is not about whether you are rich or poor in material terms. It is about whether you are aligned with your essence, whether your work flows from your authentic power, whether your choices bring nourishment not only to your body but to your soul. When you reach that understanding, money ceases to control you. It becomes what it was always meant to be: a tool, a resource, an echo of the deeper abundance already alive within you. So, Scorpio, when you face this trial, do not fear the fluctuations of fortune. See them instead as a purification of your motives, a way of stripping away the illusion that wealth defines you. You were not born to chase money. You were born to magnetize it by embodying your power, your vision, and your truth. When you live in that alignment, prosperity will follow as naturally as the tide, not because you pursued it, but because you became the kind of person who attracts it effortlessly. Scorpio, these crises are not punishments. They are sacred initiations, each one designed to strip away illusions and call forth the most resilient and authentic version of you. They are not meant to break you, but to carve you into the force you were always meant to become. When you have walked through all of them, you will not only find material stability, you will carry within you a deeper kind of wealth, the wealth of spirit, of clarity, of emotional depth, and of wisdom forged through fire. You will realize that true prosperity is not measured by what you hold in your hands, but by the unshakable power that lives in your soul. Never forget this: truth diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is purified in the fire. And the strongest leaders, the ones who inspire lasting change, are formed in the crucible of crisis. Scorpio, you were never meant for an ordinary life. You were meant to rise from every storm, transformed, and to carry the light of that transformation so others can find their way through their own darkness. Scorpio, as this message comes to an end, I want you to remember that none of the storms you face are here to destroy you. They are here to refine you, to shape you into someone who no longer lives from fear or illusion, but from truth. Every silence, every betrayal, every temptation to settle, every rejection, every financial lesson, every moment of weakness in body or spirit, they are all stepping stones leading you back to your power. You were not made for an ordinary path. You were born to walk through the fire and emerge transformed, carrying wisdom, depth, and a strength that cannot be shaken. So when the next crisis arrives, and it will meet it not with despair but with recognition, see it for what it truly is: another initiation. Another chance to rise closer to the life your soul has always known was waiting for you. And when you finally stand on the other side of these trials, you will not only know your own strength, you will become a living reminder for others that it is possible to face the darkness and still claim the light. Scorpio, your journey is not about avoiding pain. It is about transforming it into the fuel that makes you unstoppable. Trust the path. Trust yourself. Your rebirth has already begun.